Good morning, Team Alabama. We are ready for page 516 in Anne Frank. Please find it on your Chromebooks and read along with me. We will add to our facts, our questions, and our vocab today. Page 516. Peter, I'm scared to. Sorry. Page 516. Peter, I'm scared to. I know something's going to jump out and hit me. No, it's nothing like that, really. Mrs. Van Dan, as he is opening it. What is it, Peter? Go on, show it. So Anne is giving everybody presents for Hanukkah, and she's giving Peter his, and he's cautious. He's worried about what it is she's going to give, and that could be a fact you could add. Anne, excitedly, it's a safety razor. Oh, what? A razor. Mrs. Van Dan, looking at it. You didn't make that out of odds and ends. And to Peter, Meep got it for me. It's not new, it's secondhand, but you really do need a razor now. Dussel, for what? Look, on his upper lip, you can see the beginnings of a mustache. He wants to get rid of it? Put a little milk on it and let the cat lick it off. Peter, starting for his room. Think you're funny, don't you? Look, he can't wait. He's going in to try it out. I'm going to give Mushy his present. He goes into his room, slamming the door behind him. Mr. Van Dan disgustedly. Mushy, mushy, mushy. So Mr. Van Dan doesn't like Peter's cat. That's a good fact. And Mr. Dussel kind of annoys everyone. He definitely annoys Anne and Peter. In the distance, we hear a dog persistently barking. Anne brings a gift to Dussel. And last but never least, my roommate, Mr. Dussel. For me? You have something for me? He opens the small box that she gives him. I made them myself. Dussel is puzzled. Capsules? 2 capsules? They're earplugs. Earplugs? To put in your ears so you won't hear me when I thrash around at night. I saw them advertised in a magazine. They're not real ones. I made them out of cotton and candle wax. Try them. See if they don't work. See if you can hear me talk. Dussel, putting them in his ears. Wait now until I get them in, so, are you ready? Huh? Are you ready? Good God, they've gone inside. I can't get them out. They laugh as Mr. Dussel jumps about, trying to shake the plugs out of his ears. Finally, he gets them out, putting them away. Thank you, Anne, thank you. A real Hanukkah. Wasn't it cute of her? I don't know when she did it. I love my present. Anne, sitting at the table. And now, let's have the song, Father, please, to Dussel. Have you heard the Hanukkah song, Mr. Dussel? The song is the whole thing. And she sings, oh, Hanukkah, the sweet celebration. Mr. Frank, quieting her. I'm afraid, Anne, we shouldn't sing that song tonight. To Dussel, it's a song of jubilation. Okay, so jubilation would be a great word to add to your vocab. And jubilation means kind of happiness, as a sign of enthusiasm or happiness, of rejoicing. One is apt, and remember, apt is a word that we just heard in our last book. Apt means likely. One is apt to become too enthusiastic. Oh, please, please, let's sing the song. I promise not to shout. Very well, but quietly now. I'll keep an eye on you, and when, as Anne starts to sing, she is interrupted by Dussel, who is snorting and wheezing. Dussel, pointing to Peter. You! Peter is coming from his bedroom, ostentatiously holding a bulge in his coat, as if he were holding his cat, and dangling Anne's present before it. How many times have I told you, out, out? Mr. Van Dan, going to Peter. What's the matter with you? Haven't you got any sense? Get that cat out of here. Peter, innocently. Cat? You heard me. Get it out of here. I have no cat. Delighted with his joke, he opens up his coat and pulls out a bath towel, and the group at the table laugh, enjoying the joke. Dussel still wheezing. So Dussel's probably faking it because there was no cat. It doesn't need to be the cat. His clothes are enough. When he comes out of that room, don't worry, you won't be bothered anymore. We're getting rid of it. At last you listen to me. He goes off into his room. Mr. Van Dan calling after him. I'm not doing it for you. That's all in your mind, all of it. He starts back to his place at the table. I'm doing it because I'm sick of seeing that cat eat all of our food. So Mr. Van Dan is always concerned about the food. And remember, they called him a portly man, so he's large. He's kind of heavy. And he's always worried about the little food that they do have now going to the cat. That's not true. I only give him bones and scraps. Mr. Van Daan, don't tell me he's getting fatter every day. Darn cat. Looks better than any of us. Out he goes tonight. No, no. Mr. Van Daan, you can't do that. That's Peter's cat. Peter loves his cat. So Mr. Van Daan wants to get rid of his son's cat, Peter's cat. Peter, if he goes, I go. Go, go, Mr. Van Daan says. You're not going, and the cat's not going, Mrs. Van Daan says. Now, please, this is Hanukkah. Hanukkah, this is the time to celebrate. What's the matter with all of you? Come, Anne, let's have the song. So Anne starts singing, oh, Hanukkah, the sweet celebration. Okay, so she sings, and then Mr. Frank rising. I think we should first blow out the candles, and then we'll have something for tomorrow night. But, Father, you're supposed to let it burn itself out. I'm sure that God understands shortages before blowing it out. Praise be thou, O Lord our God, who has sustained us and permitted us to celebrate this joyous festival. He is about to blow out the candle when suddenly there is a crash and something falling below. They all freeze in horror, motionless, and for a few seconds there is complete silence. Mr. Frank slips off his shoes. The others noiselessly follow his example. Mr. Frank turns out a light near him and he motions for Peter to turn off the center lamp. Peter tries to reach it, realizes he cannot, and gets a chair. Just as he is touching the lamp, he loses his balance and the chair goes out from under him and he falls. The iron lampshade crashes to the floor, and there is a sound of feet below running down the stairs. Mr. Van Daan, under his breath, God Almighty! The only light comes from the Hanukkah candle, and Dussel comes from his room. Mr. Frank creeps over to the stairwell and stands and listens. The dog is heard barking excitedly. Do you hear anything? Mr. Frank in a whisper, no, I think they're gone. They've gone. It's the green police. They found us, Mrs. Van Daan says. She's the scaredy cat. If they had, they wouldn't have left. They'd be up here by now, Mr. Frank says. Mrs. Van Daan, I know it's the green police. They've gone to get help. That's all. They'll be back. Mr. Van Daan, or it may have been the Gestapo looking for papers. Mr. Frank interrupting, or a thief looking for money. Mr. Van Daan, Mrs. Van Daan, we've got to do something. Quick, quick, before they come back. Mr. Van Daan, there isn't anything to do. Just wait. Mr. Frank holds up his hand for them to be quiet, and he is listening intently. There is complete silence as they all strain to hear any sound from below, and suddenly Anne begins to sway. She's about to pass out. Sway means move back and forth, or she's losing her balance. With a low cry, she falls to the floor in a faint, and Mrs. Frank goes to quickly, sitting beside her on the floor and taking her in her arms. Get some water, please. Get some water. Margot starts for the sink. Mr. Van Daan grabbing Margot. No, no, no. No one's going to run the water. If they found us, they found us. Get the water. Margot starts again for the sink. Mr. Frank getting a flashlight. I'm going down. Margot rushes to him, clinging to him. Anne struggles to consciousness. No, Father, no. There may be someone there waiting. It may be a trap. This is Saturday. There is no way for us to know what has happened until Meep or Mr. Kraler come on Monday morning. We cannot live with this uncertainty. Don't go, Father, Margot says. Hush, darling, hush. Mrs. Frank. Mr. Frank slips quietly out and down the steps and out through the door below. Margot, stay close to me. Margot goes to her mother. Shh, shh. Mr. Frank whispers to Margot to get the water. Margot goes for it. Mrs. Van Daan, Pootie, where's our money? Get our money. I hear that you can buy the green police off. So much ahead. Go upstairs quickly and get the money. Keep still, Mr. Van Daan says. Mrs. Van Daan kneeling before him, pleading. Do you want to be dragged off to the concentration camp? Are you going to stand there and wait for them to come up and get you? Do something, I tell you. Mr. Van Daan pushing her aside. Will you keep still? He goes over to the stairwell to listen, and Peter goes to his mother, helping her up onto the sofa. There is a second of silence, and then Anne can stand it no longer. Someone go after Father. Make Father come back. Peter starting for the door. I'll go. Mr. Van Daan, haven't you done enough? He pushes Peter roughly away, and in his anger against his father, Peter grabs a chair as if to hit him with it, and then puts it down, burying his face in his hands, and Mrs. Frank begins to pray. Please, please, Mr. Van Daan, get Father. Quiet, quiet. Anne is shocked into silence, and Mrs. Frank pulls her closer, holding her protectively in her arms. Mrs. Frank softly praying. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. She stops as she hears someone coming, and they all watch the door tensely, and Mr. Frank comes quietly in. Anne rushes to him, holding him tight. It was a thief. That noise must have scared him away. Thank God. He took the cash box and the radio, and he ran away in such a hurry that he didn't stop to shut the street door. It was swinging wide open. A breath of relief sweeps over them. I think it would be good to have some light. Are you sure it's all right? The danger has passed. Margot goes to light the small lamp. Don't be so terrified, Anne. We're safe. Who says the danger has passed? Don't you realize that we are in greater danger than ever? Mr. Frank. Mr. Dussel, will you be still? Mr. Frank takes Anne back to the table, making her sit down with him and trying to calm her. Dussel pointing to Peter. Thanks to this clumsy fool, there's someone now who knows we're up here. Someone now knows that we're up here hiding. Mrs. Van Daan going to Dussel. Someone knows we're here, yes, but who is that someone? A thief? A thief? You think a thief is going to go to the Green Police and say, I was robbing a place the other night and I heard a noise up over the head, and you think a thief is going to do that? Yes, I think he will. Mrs. Van Daan hysterically. You're crazy. She stumbles back to her seat at the table, and Peter follows protectively, pushing Dussel aside. I think someday he'll be caught, and then he'll make a bargain with the Green Police, if they'll let him, and he'll tell them where some Jews are hiding. He goes off into the bedroom, and there is a second of appalled silence. He's right.